Hey everybody, I'm going to tell you today about how I built an email list of about 500,000 people and how I built a network of financial news websites that get between 3 and 5 million page views per month using automated content. And then at the end, I'm going to share some tips. So let's see if I can get this right. Nope, wrong. There we go. So this business really began in 2007. I ran a network of personal finance blogs called American Consumer News. Today the cool business model is to import products overseas, sell them on Amazon through FBA. Back then, it was to start a personal finance blog and tell everybody how you're getting out of debt. So I jumped on that bandwagon, and we did pretty well with it. By 2010, we were probably getting 800,000 page views a month, and we had a few writers writing for us. We made 130 grand that year just from these network of blogs. But there were some kind of flaws with it. Our average article length was about 400 words. The content wasn't very good. A good chunk of our revenue was selling links to SEO agencies. So it was going well until February 23rd of 2011 happened. Can anybody tell me what happened on that date? First Panda update. So the Panda update ate my website alive. Half the traffic disappeared overnight. TextLink buyers, they stopped renewing. The business just became a shadow of its former glory. So I really needed to reinvent the business, figure out something new to do, in order, for the future. So I went over my Stat Counter account. I went through all the domains I owned. I thought, okay, what is still working here? And there was a website called American Banking and Market News that we had started. The domain is americanbankingnews.com. It's still up. And we had some traction with that from publishing news about publicly traded companies. And the reason that site was still doing pretty well was because it didn't get traffic from Google Organic. It got traffic from MSN Money and StockTwits and Google Finance. So places where there's news about publicly traded companies, they would send us traffic, about 300 to 400 page views per article. So it was not a lot, but enough. The only challenge with this was that the shelf life of our content was about 72 hours, because after that, it was just old news and nobody cares anymore. Who cares, what United did to screw their customers last week? We want to know what they're doing to screw their customers this week. Eventually, I kind of figured out, though, is that we could write really short formulaic articles about like earnings announcements, analyst recommendations, dividend announcements. It's really easy to write those stories because it's just telling the facts. So I got really good at publishing these. I used like Text Expander to come up with macros to write stories really quickly about, say, an analyst upgrade, and I was able to get it down, so I was publishing around maybe 50 of these stories in a couple hours every morning, and that worked out really well for us. We got that same 300 to 400 page views, but per article, we were just able to publish a lot more articles. Then eventually, I figured out, wait a minute. Oh, there's that site. Eventually, I figured out, wait a minute, I could use software to do this because there's nothing that I'm doing that software couldn't do. So I made a little script. It's a simple web form. That was an early version of it, where I just fill out some information, and then our software would create an article about it. It would pull in some data from Yahoo Finance and Reuters, like a company description and the current stock price, and then it would post it to our WordPress website using XML RPC. And that was just that's kind of the first iteration of the technology. Now we've got over like 25 templates for different types of articles that we can do, and we publish probably about 2,000 stories per day. But when we first started doing this, we had gone from maybe 400,000 page views a month to about 1 million in a few months just by using this strategy. We really didn't want to stop there either. It was working really well, but we were still really dependent on other people sending us traffic from a few big sources, and we had already kind of learned that lesson the hard way. We didn't want to be reliant on web traffic and advertising revenue. So we took that same kind of article creation technology, and we made there's an example of one of the articles. But we took that same article creation technology, and we made a free daily newsletter that basically contained a summary of analyst recommendations. So that's kind of what that looks like with an ad and some news stories at the top. That's our newsletter. You can subscribe to it at marketbeat.com if you want to see what it looks like. And we started sending that out. We put a pop-up on our website and all of our news articles so that we collect emails. About 6 months into it, we had about 10,000 subscribers, so we had grown that list pretty quick. And people seemed to like the newsletter. We were getting some really good feedback from it. So I thought maybe there's an opportunity for a subscription play here. So I emailed the list and I said, hey, what do you like about the newsletter? What don't you like about the newsletter? And I got feedback. So I took the feedback I got, and I made a better version of the newsletter and sold it for $15 a month. So people that pay for the premium newsletter, they get it earlier in the morning. They can create a larger watch list. They get SMS and email alerts. It's just pretty much a better feature set. So at the end of the first year, we probably had like 100 people sign up for it. So it wasn't a total failure, but it wasn't a giant success either. I just didn't really know what I was doing at the time. It was really by the end of probably 2012 when we really had that business model figured out. We've really grown up since then. So the business was called Analyst Ratings Network. If you talked to me at MicroConf 2 years ago, whenever I pronounced the name to you guys and like you guys told it back to me, you got it wrong. Like I heard Analyst Network, Ratings Network. It was just a really bad name. And coming to this conference 2 years ago just reiterated that fact. So I was able to find the domain name marketbeat.com for $9,500, which really was a steal if you think about it. And we changed the brand to MarketBeat. This is what it looks like today on the website. And we've done a bunch of other things to grow the business as well. We built out like a good, better, best product line. So the price points are now free, $15 a month, and then $35 a month for our web-based research tools. We built out relationships with a couple of the biggest financial media agencies in the world that sell to pretty much every big financial media company you've heard of. And we've really grown the business since then. It is really still the same underlying technology, though. We publish a couple thousand articles per day using automated content, get traffic from MSN Money, Yahoo Finance, Google Finance, StockTwits, Twitter, all the places that have news about publicly traded companies. Our stuff is there. So kind of where we're at today. We did $2.75 million in revenue last year. Of that, we did about $2.15 million in profit. Last year, we had 37.5 million unique visitors. We have 445,000 email subscribers. Of that 2.75, about 595,000 of that is subscription. The rest is advertising. It's a very lucrative space for advertising, so we've done very well with that. You're selling dedicated emails and newsletter sponsorships and web ads. And then we were number 529 on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies that are privately held in the United States last year. So that is today. That's the business. I've got 5 minutes left, and I really believe conferences should be actionable and have really good tips and tactics and strategies. So the last 5 minutes of my talk are 5 strategies that are working for me in my business right now. So the first thing is web push notifications. This is a desktop browser technology built into Chrome, Firefox, and Safari that allow you to send a push notification to anyone even after they're not on your website anymore. So you go to MarketBeat, you'll get asked if you're on a desktop computer if you want to receive push notifications. If you do, we'll send you a daily notification when that day's analyst recommendations are available. We've got about 50,000 people to sign up for push notifications in the last 6 months. And whenever we send one out, we get about 1,500 clicks in a matter of an hour. There are a ton of uses for these things. You can use them for cart abandonment. So you can send somebody a push notification saying, hey, come finish your buying experience. You can push new content out for these. So like blog posts, you can get people back on your website. You can use it to sell. We've got advertisers that buy these for like $1 a click. So sending one of these out is an easy way to make $1,500 for us from an advertiser. Just a ton of uses. We use a technology called onesignal.com. And there's a few others that do it like PushCrew. I'm familiar with, and I know they've got some competitors, but we use OneSignal. The next one is write really short emails. I've had really good luck writing like a 9-word email. This is the terminology that digital marketer uses to describe these things. But I was doing a fundraiser for my local March of Dimes chapter. I was primarily just using my email list because I figured it would work, and it did. We raised like 17 grand, and the email that worked the best was this short email that said, hey, are you still interested in helping out with the March of Dimes fundraiser, ? If you are, click this link to make your donation. And we probably got about $3,000 in donations from this one email. And the reason it works is because it's short, people actually take the time to read it, and then it's a simple yes or no question, do I want to take action based off this email? So definitely test it out, when you're emailing your audience, and use it as part of your sequence, and maybe use it as a follow-up. It doesn't take long to write one of these, and they tend to work pretty well. The next one is Google AMP and Facebook Instant Articles. So these are 2 mobile-friendly publishing platforms that Google and Facebook are using to, they're pretty much a subset of HTML, so they load really fast on smartphones. But Google is favoring these in the search results with the news carousel. So if you do some searches, sometimes at top there's like a carousel of AMP stories. We wanted to get in on that action, so we made all of our sites AMP friendly, and we actually get about 100,000 page views every week from these news carousel stories. And then Facebook Instant Articles, I think they are favoring them in the kind of the news feed right now, I think. We're still trying to figure out Facebook Instant Articles, but I think there's definitely an opportunity there. Obviously, the ad RPM isn't as high as desktop stuff. That's true of all mobile stuff, but we've done a pretty good job of figuring out an ad placement that kind of works. So if you go to, I think, AmericanBankingNews.com, you find an article, you type /amp on the end, you can see kind of what it looks like on the phones. I highly recommend anybody that's doing news content and soon to be e-commerce content use these publishing, I guess, tools. Number 4 is structured data. So if you do a search for any kind of question on Google now, sometimes at the top they try to just answer the question directly in the search results and not send you to a web page. Some marketers refer to this as position 0 in Google, and a lot of times they reference other people's websites in these questions or these answer boxes. And the way that you can get some of these rankings for your website is to use the schema.org structured markup, especially their list specification and their question specification. So if you go to marketbeat.com and you look on one of the company profile pages for Apple or Microsoft or whoever, there's a big facts section, and all those are schema.org questions designed to get to some of those rankings. So there might be a question like, what is Apple's stock price today? So we put that in the schema.org question specification, answer the question, and hopefully someday we'll get some of those rankings. It's pretty new to us, but I've heard really good things about it. The last question, or last tip, is use session replays. So most of us, we don't actually know how users interact with our content on our website. We think we know how people use our website, but typically we don't. And if you use a session recording software like Hotjar or ClickTail, or I think Mouseflow is another one, you can actually see how real people are using your website, like what they're getting stuck on, what they're clicking on, what they're not clicking on. And it's really a good way to see where people are getting stuck and maybe aren't getting to that next step that you want them to take. So that is the 5th tip. If you want to get in touch with me, here's how to do so. My website, my email, my Facebook, my MySpace page, and of course my ICQ number if you want to chat with me in 1995. Thanks, everybody.